This has been a week of literal ups and downs. It started out with a simple lesson on leg yielding. I brought Aries out to the arena and warmed him up. The usual. I then asked him to leg yield down the fence line in prep for the work we would be doing under saddle. When he yielded over softly, I gave him a release and told him he was a rock star. Once on, I went through our normal warm-up of turning left and right, doing some figure eights, and stopping. Now time to yield down the rail. Aries was clearly confused at first, but I kept quietly asking him to step over. Each time he gave me a good step, I stopped and rewarded him. If he got particularly stuck, I would gently tap him with my stick to encourage him to step over. Aries was so far doing well. His yield to the left was easier than his yield to the right. Not surprising. He seemed to be getting frustrated more quickly going to the right. And at one point, he pulled hard on the reins and took off. After he went around behind the camera, he bucked me off. This was the first time he had ever cantered under saddle, and I think it startled him. Cantering is a weird feeling for a horse. They feel the rider's weight shift around a lot more. So he chucked me off. I had to get right back on though. Don't think for a second that I am not scared out of my mind at this moment. But every rider knows you have to get back on. Firstly, the horse will learn that they can get rid of you if you don't. And second, it's a mental thing. I had to prove to myself that I could get back on. So now what to do? The problem is Aries doesn't want to canter under saddle, because guess what? I've never asked him to. It's the same problem I had back when I was first trying to touch him. He was used to life without being touched. Then I wanted to touch him. And now he thinks that life doesn't involve cantering under saddle, and I've waited too long to change it, and now I have a bit of a fight on my hands. Only this time, Aries has a bit of an advantage. So one solution is to canter Aries up a steep hill. It is very, very difficult for a horse to buck with any oomph while going uphill. They can do it, but it's harder. So on Sunday, I went out with another rider to canter up one of our biggest hills. Hopefully, Aries could get used to the feeling of cantering while not being able to get rid of me. I was almost shaking. I was so scared of getting bucked off. Once we took off, it was clear Aries wasn't going to buck.
Trot on. Alright, go for it. You're good, go. Oh, now it's a race!
To say I was overjoyed would be an understatement. It was wonderful to canter up that hill with him and have him seem to enjoy it. So we turned around and went down to do it again. My wonderful racing partner here is Lucas, a 13-year-old Appaloosa gelding who is the only one who is boss over Aries in the pasture. Lucas is tough and ridiculously fit. Both he and Aries were huffing and puffing after that second run. I wanted to try one more run, this time without Lucas. So Frederick and Lucas stayed on top of the hill while I walked Aries back down to run up one more time. Remember, do everything 3 times, and then you can call it confirmed. Aries did very well. I was very, very proud of him. So today I decided to canter up the big hill first to make sure Aries wasn't going to buck, then go out and try a less steep hill, but that had a flat section, to let him learn to canter on a flatter surface after he got going. After a couple of times up the steep hill, we moved down into the flatter part of the property. We used a smaller hill to start our canter and just kept going after it flattened out. Aries quickly passed his lead horse, cantering along nicely. There was water on the roadway, and I think the shine startled Aries, so he went off-roading. After having a good laugh about it, we quickly regained control and got back on the road. We went down for a second pass, took off just fine, up into the canter, no problems. Our running partner today was Hot Rod and Sarah Beth. Sarah Beth has owned Hot Rod since he was 9 months old. He's now almost 13. He is still her go-to rock-solid guy. We went back down for a third and final run. But all my friend and camera guy Danny got was this. And here's why. Out of Danny's view, this is what was happening. Okay, now that was a pure, I'm sick of this maneuver. He was not spooked. If you look closely, he practically picks the spot he's going to dump me in. Now I have a real problem. He knows how to get me off and has no problem doing it. So what to do now? I cannot allow this to continue. Because if you've been watching these episodes for any amount of time, you'll know that Aries is one smart cookie. He will continue to do this if not corrected. As I mentioned earlier, the longer he goes like this, the harder it will be to get him over this behavior. These are the perils of taking on a fully mature wild horse. He is confident and knows himself. He has the machismo to go toe-to-toe with another stallion. That is one tough partner to choose. I of course had to get back on, terrified and all. We ran him up the big hill a couple more times until he was significantly more tired. Then we ran back out to where he dumped me one more time to remind him that bucking me off doesn't get you out of doing anything. I have some really tough work ahead of me, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get it done.